Yo, welcome back to another edition of Toxic is the New Masculinity. This is your man, Terrence J. And to my right, I got my man, Bossy. And as you guys know, every once in a while, she comes from behind the scenes. It comes in and graces up with her presence. We got our girl, Amy,
You're welcome.
the producer,
You're
the
welcome.
boss,
You're welcome.
that runs this whole thing.
You're welcome.
They say behind every good man, there's a great woman, all
An
right?
impeccable
Tell,
woman.
Is that what they say?
She's
tell him
amazing.
he's wrong.
Like all of the above. She's amazing.
Behind
She's
every
impeccable.
great man is
She's
a woman.
everything.
Tell him he's
Wow.
wrong.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. I just want to know if you would agree with that logic.
Which logic? Your logic or boss's logic?
Well, the one I said.
I agree with your logic.
So men can't be great without a one behind
That's
the
facts.
Is that what you're saying?
Okay. You just-
Oh, I'm asking a question.
He's looking for
I
clarity.
wouldn't. I wouldn't.
He wants
I wouldn't.
clarity.
I would agree. I was
I
asking a
didn't
question.
say it. It was the Lord that determined that you guys needed a helpmate, not us. We didn't determine that. He determined y'all need a helpmate. So in order for you to be great, yes, you do have to have a woman.
Mm. Well, the thing is, as we get into this show, I'm just wondering. I always wondered, did God not know we needed a helpmate before he started?
I think that the Lord knew that y'all needed a helpmate, but often, so there's a such thing, right? There's knowledge and there's experience,
Mm-hmm.
right? So sometimes you may say, like, my wife said that she loves me. I know that she loves me, but until she actually shows it, you don't experience it.
Mm-hmm.
So the Lord actually had the opportunity to experience that y'all needed a helpmate.
Mm-hmm.
And so he gave you guys what he knew that you needed.
Yes.
You're
And
welcome.
that's why this topic is perfect, because it talks about having a bankrupt account with the logic department. Okay, listen, great segue. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Listen, so Toxic is the New Masculinity is pretty much a show that just has conversations about different things that go on with masculinity. And a lot of times society has said that masculinity is toxic, and we're just having to play on words saying, well, if you're going to give us that title, we're going to take it. All right, but today's topic is women can be so invested in their emotions that their logical accounts is often bankrupt, right? And again, this is not a woman bashing show. We have to make the topic something
We're
that you guys
disguised
want.
as one, though.
But hold on. I think the topic actually came from a man. The topic was not created by a woman.
Actually-
so
actually
I
it
think we need
was
to
by-
dig into why
Actually, it
in
was
the
about a woman.
no, which
That's
woman?
That's why a woman. I told you it was a quote. I got it was in church. I lived in church.
Why you look so
shy?
shocked? You look. She said, "What? You mean a woman spoke against womanhood? Banish her."
We don't say things like that.
Oh, you don't. You
No,
don't.
we don't.
You don't talk against the establishment at all.
Of course not. So, so my question is, why did you come up with that topic? Why did you
I
present
didn't
that
come
topic?
up- I
Okay, you
just
didn't
told
come up.
you.
with
You're not
it,
gonna
but
throw
you
him under the
Yeah,
bus
I
like
know,
that.
Hold on.
Yeah.
You didn't come up with it, but you
Mm.
presented the topic.
I know. I did not present a topic. What happened was I heard the quote and I thought it was interesting, and I just sent it to the group. I didn't say nothing about the topic. You wanted to make it a topic.
So, what are your thoughts on it?
I thought it was interesting she said that. And
Okay.
I'll tell you, and I will tell you in the context that she said it, right? She was a therapist, okay, and she was talking about relationships, and she had made a point that typically, when women invest in a relationship, certain times, a lot of times, and I'll go through, she said structures and the way they made and stuff like that, they have to make emotional decisions, right? And a lot of times they rely on those emotional decisions. They can also cloud judgments or logic, so much at some point, not every woman out there, so much so point that she makes so many decisions out of her gut feeling, what she calls intuition, and the like, right? That often the logic piece of separating themselves become bankrupt. That's what she was talking about, right? I thought that was interesting. That's why I sent it to the group.
And so I'm gonna say this, and I wanna liken this to something else. A lot of times when you have a high level of one thing, you tend not to develop another aspect of it, right? Because on the flip side, you guys always say for men, we're so everything has to be logical, everything has to be black and white, that we don't a lot of times tap into our emotional side of it, right?
Facts.
And so the thing is, I think that with that comment saying that, yo, if you're so heavily invested into your emotions, you do become devoid of a logical response, a logical aspect of way of living, because it's all about how I feel when I feel it, which is why there are even sayings that people still agree to this day that say happy wife, happy life. That's how I feel,
right.
meaning that nobody can be happy in this society, in this world.
Of course, the way it reads. I don't know what you guys' intent are, but the way it reads, it's all about you. Unfortunately, it's not. There can be no relationship where it's all about one person. That's impossible. Matter of fact, that's counterintuitive to a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
But you hear that, and that's usually either, in my opinion, well, I think this is a fact. That's usually generally quoted mostly by women or men who are in a position who have to cater to women.
What's normally quoted by women? What
Happy
are you
wife,
saying?
happy life.
You know what? I'm gonna say this. I think that's more quoted by men.
1,000,000%.
Women
don't say that.
I think men say that because we have been socialized.
What was the second part of that I said? I said that's generally quoted by women or by men who are in a position, right, where they have to cater to women, i.e. like a pastor.
You're still putting the responsibility on
the man. Now I'm gonna say. Now I will say this. I will say this. You will not find a confident man who will say something. I will promise you that. And so I think usually where I've heard ladies say that is after receiving what it is they wanted to almost solidify, like, you're doing right. Happy wife, happy life.
Or I would say this. At least more in my circle, right? Is generally like, say, if a woman's in an environment, right? Or I would say this. If somehow it's known in the workplace that I've done something for my wife, that's generally the first thing I hear from a woman. Oh, you did that? Happy wife, happy life. Or you should, or they tell me I should do this for my wife. I should do that for my wife. I should do that, and they usually the next thing follows that phrase: happy wife, happy life.
You know what? I think that typically comes from the fact that women are responders, right? So if you are wanting or desiring a woman to respond to you in a certain way, right? We respond based off of what you give. So oftentimes you hear people say that if you want to know how your marriage is doing, right? Check and see how your wife is doing. Do you like her response to you? Do you like what she is bringing to the table? Because oftentimes we are responding. So the whole notion behind happy wife, happy life is if you are giving, she is also responding to you. So whatever you gave, she took it, and we are multipliers. You give us sperm, we make a baby. You give us a house, we make it a home, etc. So we're taking whatever you give us and we're multiplying it by 10 and giving it back to you. So your entire life is happy simply because you gave to us in the first place. So that's where it comes from. Happy wife, happy life. You make us happy. We incubate whatever you give, and we give it right back to you.
That's a beautiful synopsis. Right? I like the way you packaged it, but that's all wrong.
It's not
that is
wrong.
all wrong.
Yes.
How is it? Okay, share. How is it not wrong?
Where do I start? Where do I actually start? Love is not necessarily reciprocal, right? It's not you give to me and I give to you first. That's not even how love exists, right? So when you talk about you multiply something that I give, right?
We do as women.
Okay,
do we not?
Okay, well, I tell you what, you multiply it, right? I've said this 100 times, right? Let's just say let's use the United States as a sample, right? Generally, who makes more, men or women?
Men.
So the moment I marry you, how are you multiplying what I have when the moment I marry you, I'm 50% less than I was worth before I put a ring on your finger?
What do you mean you're 50% less? You came to the marriage with 100%. You're not 50%.
No, I'm not.
If a woman is actually coming to the table with something.
You just said who makes more, men or women, right?
Men.
So if
typically.
right. So let's just say I made 100,000. You made 50. We got 150 together, right? Right. We got 150 together.
100%,
I bought 100,000.
Yes.
So if I put 100,000, we got 150 together. 150 split in half is 75.
Okay.
I'm already at a deficit just marrying.
That does not even make sense with the whole
It's
happy
simple
wife,
math.
happy life thing. You're going to math, and
just
we were
said
talking
to
about
me-
logic.
you
Like that
literally-
literally
you
has
literally just
not.
said
That
to
is
me-
not the same thing.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Did you not say to me when I give to you, you multiply?
Oh my
Is
goodness! Did you really? Did he go there? He
Did-
went
did
there.
you-
He
I'm
literally
just
went
asking,
there.
did
He
you
went
say
there.
that?
And you should not.
You don't need,
It was
listen,
not
you
even
don't
the
need
same
the
thing
audience.
that we
What you
were
looking for
talking
help
about.
for? You need to multiply to jump on me. Just me and you. What you need help for?
This is not
This-
even what we were talking about. You went
whether we talk
completely
about that
down
or not,
another
is that what
path,
you
and it
said?
has nothing. It's
Is that
exactly
not what you
it's
said?
exactly what I said, but you
Okay.
applied it to something completely different that had nothing to do with anything.
So you multiply everything but money then.
Oh my goodness!
That's what
Now
you
you did say you're multipliers, and
I
one
did
one
say we are multipliers.
and so and he used money to see about how does that
But
multiplication
his
work,
logic
because it
was
sounds like
completely
division.
off.
But the thing is,
your emotion is clouding your logical brain.
but you know what? I want to go back to this. All right. So I usually hate when it's like, oh well, we multipliers, you give us sperm, we give you a baby. There's no brain work that goes into that.
This is true.
That is natural,
This is true.
right? I like to call people, you're either a starter or an alternator.
Mhm.
For those of you not familiar with cars, when the signal from your battery goes to your starter comes out, does what it needs to do, get the engine started. Your battery sends a current to the alternator, and the alternator sends a current back. People fall into two different categories. Are you just receiving energy, doing whatever you're doing, or you have a level of reciprocity where you are giving me this current back to keep me charged? And I think a lot of times we're very disingenuous when we put this saying on women that there's a perfection, that everything I give you, you're going to multiply. Everything I give you, I'm going to reflect. Everything I give you, you're going to turn around and make it better. That's not true, because there are some corrupt people. There are some people that have bad hearts, bad intentions. There are some me. There are some selfish people. There are some people who have been raised to where everything is about me, and I can give a damn what you do or what you have, because as long as I'm happy, then we'll see about possibly making you happy. But most of the time, those people are black holes to happiness. It's only coming in. And then when we get to the level of word of happiness, I even go, if you use the Bible, I think happiness is said in the Bible 20 to 30 times. And so almost 400 times that joy operates outside of emotions, right? So now when we start talking about making you happy, you don't know day to day what makes you happy in most cases. So it's a losing game. And as the first time you get a man chasing the tail of happiness to a woman, you got it. Boom.
Well, but
He's done.
That's the problem in the first place, right? I don't believe that it is somebody else's responsibility to make you happy.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a foundational issue right there. And I think that the whole slogan, happy wife, happy life, does not mean that you're miserable unless your wife is happy, right? It's just like a cliche. It's just something that people say to say, if you do what you can to please or contribute to a great household, right? In return, your wife is giving because she is responding back. It's not saying that if she is unhappy, you are miserable. I don't believe that it is somebody else's responsibility to make you happy.
And what we cannot do in this case is say, oh, we just said just to say it, when that don't operate in other aspects. Because if I start calling out your name, say, oh, I just said it because that's how I said it, you're going to be like, that ain't me. Don't call me that no more. So when we start to use that, we have to be intentional with our words, because our words actually have meanings and definitions. And so the thing is that when you have a conversation and automatically it goes to one person and it's not inclusive, well, then guess what? If we say that enough time, we will start to believe it, and we'll say things without having this consciousness about what we're actually saying. And then we develop into these roles. And next thing you know, you start walking it out. And so now we have to go through and we start saying, okay, now to our topic of saying you're invested into your emotions where your logical account is bankrupt. A lot of times men are going to go down and say, okay, listen, this is what it is. Because I do believe, now, if you want to talk about a saying that I think people say more one than the other, men say it is what it is way more than women.
I mean, because it's actually, in reality, it is what it is.
No, in reality. But a lot of times we deal with people who ain't operating in reality.
Sure, yeah, 100%.
So when we say, you know what?
And that's when we say it is what it is, we mean that as a word. I always specify. We literally mean, hey, I accept this for what it is. You know, no more, no less. I accept it for what it is, not based on how I feel about it.
Right.
So I'm glad you said that, boss. You said we accept it, right? I often feel that women in relationships, starting relationships where their problem comes in at, is that they don't look at it and say it is what it is. They don't look at that guy and say, you know what, this is what it is. Not I can upgrade him. Not I don't like the way he dressed or his shoes or this or that. I can make him better. And so as a warning. This is not a knock to women. As a warning, I'm saying, ladies, stop doing that. Because the thing is that when you go into that situation, you now have created expectations. And the fastest way to get disappointed is to have expectations.
Right.
Funny thing, I'm going to say this. Most guys, when we get with a woman, you know, we know it's all downhill from here. Most women get with guys and say, oh, I can get this better. And the reason we say it's all, what do you mean it's all downhill?
Because of my example, she's 25% more than she had when she got
Not all.
but I'm going to explain that. We generally like the youthfulness in a woman. We generally like the when a woman is moldable into certain ways, and you know she's soft, this and that. The older she gets, further she gets away from that youthful look. And there's a lot of beautiful 50-year-old women today.
Of course.
But I guarantee you, they're beautiful until her 30-year-old self walk up, and then all of a sudden you be like, oh, she bad until that one walk up. It's kind of like Cat Williams said. You Chrysler 300 drivers, you look like a Bentley until what? Until a Bentley pulls up. So are you more set in your ways now than you were 20 years ago? Mm-hmm. See what I'm saying? So now I know this is generally not going to get better into some level of paradise. We're going to work together. We're going to figure this thing out. But the problem when I'm warning ladies is when you look at a guy, understand he's probably not going to change too much. He's probably not going to come off his square too much, especially after he has already had some type of establishment in his life. Mm-hmm. You need to look at him and say, you know what? It is what it is. And can I ride this out with him like this? Little changes here or there going forward. If you can't, leave him alone.
Okay, but what's your rationale behind a woman needing to do that versus a man also doing that for a woman? Like, does the reverse work the same? Like, do you all look at women and say, you know what, it is what it is. I'm going to ride this out regardless, because typically a male changes less than a woman. True or false?
No, 100%. I agree, because I was going to add, not to your point, I was going to add something my dad, at least to me, I found to be true. He said, when they're in relationships, women generally get with men for his potential, what she could create him to be. Men generally get with women want them to remain the way they always are. Or he wants them to remain unchanged. You know, so I think there's some truth to that.
Yeah, and so
that's very interesting.
To that point, but also, I want y'all to understand something. When a guy gets with a girl, the longer he's with her, the more wrinkles she's going to get. Hair's going to change. Looks are going to change. But you see that guy, he's still loving on that woman. You know why? He still sees her as he met her. She's in the mirror saying, oh, my God. He's like, baby, what you talking about? Because we don't see you guys the way, once we get into that relationship and we love you.
No, man, the beauty is important.
The beauty is important. That's why we got to start that way.
Yeah,
we got to start that way. But what I'm saying is, I've seen guys, and they're really into their woman, right? And they've been together for a while, and I was like, I don't really see that. And then I've seen some pictures like, oh, she looked a little different a little while ago. He's still there, so he's still on her from when he got her, right? So when you say the changing, yes, women do change, but your man that loves you, the reason he's still into you like he is, his vision is still.
So I got to your point, it's something I strongly believe. I do believe with men, right? Proximity promotes pretty, in my opinion, right?
You said proximity promotes pretty?
Yeah, because basically when we're in proximity, right? And as often as that happens, right? You tend to be prettier to me in various different ways. Like you said, you're going to get older. You're going to put on weight. You're going to, get wrinkles in the light. As a matter of fact, there are times when I often tell my wife, if she points out a flaw, I say, it's like not even part of the conversation, but she may say, oh my God, I got a gray hair, right? Or no, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. She'll say, don't say nothing about my gray hair. And I always tell her, baby, I would have never noticed if you didn't say nothing.
Yeah.
I always tell her, she says, oh, I've got this. I said, why do you do it? Nobody will notice it if you don't say nothing.
Right? Yeah.
Right. Because that's valuable to her.
Yeah.
Right. And she's saying it as if like, well, I'm going to say this to you. to let you know that I'm aware of it, so you don't have to say nothing about
It's
it. And I'm saying,
self-deprecation.
exactly.
It's self-deprecation
okay.
a lot of times. Yeah.
So have y'all and please, you all don't take this out of context, ladies. Okay, just rock with me for a moment. All right. Have y'all ever seen the movie Shallow Hal?
Yes.
So
that was the one where they tricked them to see, like, he
well,
was
not tricked him. So basically, and my question to you as men, based on what you're saying, are you saying that when you get with a woman and you love her, et cetera, you're viewing her through the lens in which you met her in that state? And as life continues and she may change her body, she may have gained weight, her hair turned gray, etc., right? You're still looking at her through this lens, right? That's what you're seeing when you're looking through the lens of love. Am I correct when I say that, right?
We first got
So go ahead.
Can I just put that in
Yeah,
perspective?
yeah.
Just so I'm understanding your question, or the way I understand it. It's like her, right? Do you have children?
No.
Okay. Do you have siblings?
Yes.
Okay. So have you ever been like, you've been with your siblings all your life as they grow, and they gradually change to you, but somebody who hasn't seen them in years, it's a drastic change?
Sure.
I'd say it's more like that. That's what I'm saying, proximity. Like when you're with a spouse for so
I
long,
get you.
they have, you don't really see it that way. All right.
Yeah.
So go ahead. I
So
say
with Shallow Hal, he viewed her as this thin Coke bottle female when in actuality she had gained a lot of weight.
She was swole.
Yeah.
She was swole.
Sorry. She had gained a lot of weight, y'all. Okay. But so my question is to understand through the lens in which a man looks at a woman when he loves her. Are you saying that that's the lens? Is that regardless of how life changed, we get wrinkles, yada yada yada, hair, gray hair, gain weight, not whatever, you're viewing us through the lens of when you met us and you first fell in love?
We're usually stuck there, and we know that there's change. We've accepted that there's change, but when I say I view you, not so much even physically, mentally, you that girl that I saw at the movies that I said, oh, I got to holler at her. So now, 30 years later, when your hair has grayed a little bit, thinned a little bit, you maybe, gained a little weight outside of what your perfect fighting weight was, or whatever the case may be. Well, reason we still going out like, hey, this is my wife, da 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 da. Reason we still loving on you and things like that is because you still that girl who we saw at the movies that we had to go get your number and we didn't know you was gonna tell us yes or no. So we have not came out of that. But again, physically in real time, yes, we know that you do not look the same. But to us, it's almost like in the heart, you are still that same.
You know what the interesting thing is? This is good information for women to know, right? Because we feel, and I know I'm not speaking for every woman, but for the majority out there, we feel that you all view us through the lens that we view ourselves. So if we go and eat a cheesecake and we see that cheesecake plastered and we now got bra fat, we think that y'all are paying attention to the bra fat that we see when we look in the mirror.
That's my example earlier. Oh, yeah, 100%.
Right.
Yeah.
So in our minds, you guys are viewing us through the lens in which we view ourselves because you're seeing the vulnerable, raw, authentic version of that person. You're seeing that person when she get out the shower. You're seeing that person when she's walking around. And so she's not thinking that you're in that shallow howl mindset where you're viewing her from when you met her. We're saying, hey, if I am unhappy with what I'm seeing, then you also must be unhappy with what you're seeing.
Yeah, and that's not true because you got to understand that we are in a situation to where first thing I know when that mindset comes up, like, oh man, you see these things that have not been there before, and then also you guys turn outward, right? And you see like, okay, well, this girl has this and that girl has this, and he might be looking at that. But you got to understand, as a man matures, that comes with other stuff. We ain't trying to
a whole lot of stuff.
We ain't. So here's the thing. So you ever seen guys that have classic cars, or old school cars, whatever? They ain't trade that car in because listen, I've redone the interior on this one. I put the wheels on it. I've done the stuff to it. I put in work. I put in time. I've invested into this. Yep. So that's not to say that we don't have the car magazine and be like, but that new Porsche is out. That new. But guess what? I'm not trading this one in.
Sure.
Why? Because that one comes with another car note, the insurance is high and things like that, right? And listen, and I know when I say this, people are gonna bring up something about cheating and things like that,
I was
right?
just gonna
I
go
understand
there.
that.
You may not trade it in, but you go out and test drive.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing to that.
I was going to use an analogy that's better suited for Andy,
Go for it. Because
I
I knew where she was going.
Listen.
I was trying to jump in because I know
It sounded
I knew
so
she was coming with it.
unbelievably amazing,
Yeah.
but on average, you may like your historic, classic, whatever it is, but oftentimes you will go test drive that 2030 Porsche that just came out. You may not have any intentions on trading in, but you do go test drive the new release that came out. Hello? Okay.
Some people just satisfied with the classic.
All people should be, but that's not.
But you know what? And I'm not going to even say. I'm not going to say that they should be, because that's a strong word. I'm going to say this.
They should be satisfied with their wife, who's a classic. They should be.
No. What I'm saying is.
Oh, okay.
But when I say
that, T, correct that.
No, when I say
Okay.
when I hate to put shit on people with certain things, right? What I'm saying is that you're gonna have people that do that. They're gonna go test drive that car, right? They have no intention on trading. All right, and we're using the car analogy with that. But there's a lot of people that say, you know what? Because I'm gonna tell you also, for men, this is another thing that we don't get credit for. The older we get, like, we don't want it no more than just to go look at it.
What do you mean get credit for?
No. Listen to what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, there's a maturity level. No. There's a maturity. No, listen to what I said.
I think that's unrealistic.
I don't want it no more than I see it down the street and like, yo, I don't want to touch it. Cause listen, I went to a Bentley dealership one day, literally in real life.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, this is not, I said, I can't fix nothing. I don't even want to touch this car. Guess what? I stood back and I said, that's a nice car. And I left up out of there, right? My whole thing is, what I'm saying is credit, because you instantly went to, when I was talking earlier, saying, oh, y'all go test drive it. And I'm saying a lot of times as men mature, like, I don't want to test drive it.
Can I jump in because I want to be clear, because you there's so much I'm going to say. But I want to get back on this topic of what you talk about test drive, because what I had in my mind is obviously something different than you had, right? Because I guess you mean test drive mean full blown cheating or something like that. Because he made a comment and I'm with T on this. You can see somebody as a man, right? Before I go there, let me ask you this: you were married, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, you obviously found your husband attractive, right?
Absolutely.
Was he the most attractive man you knew?
When I married him, yes.
Okay, so when you walk down the street, you would never notice another attractive man.
I've seen attractive men.
Okay, so to me, all right, so see that right there, that right there. I am mature enough to know, right? Well, even adults are mature enough to know when they kind of hold their wives or husbands to a point where they can't look. Now, I get it. I'm not saying Google out or something like that, but you're going to notice an attractive person.
Of course.
And if you're somebody's spouse, if you really believe that your spouse is not going to, because that's what I call test drive.
Yeah.
I am going to notice.
Okay, so your
woman.
test drive is just visual.
But that's what I thought in the aspect he was using. When we in the car analogy, hey, I can see a brand new Porsche. I can see it. I can admire it. I can look at it.
Right.
I got to take it home.
Exactly.
You talking more or less to the take it home piece, right? I mean, am I saying this
and
right?
so
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like unless you're dealing with somebody who's insecure, right? Everybody knows that all human beings who have sight can see.
Exactly.
There is always going to be someone that you see that honestly may look better than the person that you're with.
100%.
There is nothing wrong with appreciating the beauty of a person or the individual that God created. It's the touching and the test driving that's the issue.
Exactly.
And so when I say test drive, I'm not talking about you see someone and you just nod and like, oh, okay, they look good and you keep on about your business. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about men have a tendency to see, admire, and now you have to go test drive.
And so that's why I said, when I said the credit,
then don't make me say what that means.
No, listen. That's why I said when I said the credit, what I'm saying is to your point. I saw it. I admired, like, that's nice. and I kept it moving.
That's
So
respectful.
no, what I know, but what I'm saying is, a lot of times there's a mindset to believe that men always stay in this 27-year-old mindset that he got to go in
Because
everything.
a lot of men actually live in that 27-year-old mindset where he has to. He can't seem to be satisfied with one
That's why I
person.
disagree with you with that.
A lot of men.
When I hear,
Do you date men?
Huh?
You date men?
Do you date women? I mean, what's your point? The fact, listen, I've never been pregnant. I've had experience though with the women. I can speak intelligently about it. I'm just saying though, because see, I tell you, and maybe this is always a trigger point for me. Whenever I hear absolutes, particularly in relationships, when I some men, most men, and it's ironic to me because I always say this phrase, right? That I'll leave that for another show. I'll just say this, right? I'll just say this. I have gotten an opportunity to know a lot of different personalities with women. Friends, part-time friends, long-time friends, and what have you, right? And we have so many similarities. Infidelity is not like paramount, or should I say,
exclusive.
The table, like for men. And women kill me when they act like that. When they say most men, but I mean, listen, I have been in many workplaces and seen married women talk about another dude like we talk about females. And y'all know this, and it shocks me when I hear women. Well, most men, and you know y'all do it too.
In order for a man to have an infidelity situation, it has to be with a woman. So it goes both ways.
Well, you know what? No. But the point that he's making is that you're right. In order for him to do that, there has to be a woman involved.
Right.
But to his point, he said that woman is involved with somebody else. And y'all act like once a woman gets with a guy, she is just pristine.
You know what?
Yeah, no,
you know what?
that's not
you know
true.
what?
But that's how y'all talk sometimes.
It may be how we talk, but I can tell you it's not true.
Well, look, I mean,
we know it.
We
know it firsthand.
When we was on this show, Logic, right? Y'all know what I do for a living. Numbers is everything, right?
Yeah.
And just simple. When I hear, I don't know if you guys ever heard the myth that said that for every one man, there's 10 women, or something like that, or 5 or whatever. That sentence in itself, right, is more detrimental to women than it is men. Because really, generally, particularly like in our ethnic group, right? Just from population. For every one man, there's 2 women, right? If one man had 5 women, that means the rest of the women, because of the overlap, have to know they're sharing the dude. Yeah. Willingly, right? So you can't sit there and say like when women say like that, like they're all this pristine and hey, men out there cheating. No, by numerical value, y'all sharing a whole bunch of dudes, and you know it because there's not enough dudes to be around.
Matter of fact, I had done, even just in this country in general, if you just take all men, all women, and when I ask people, do you believe there's somebody for everybody? And they say yes. And most ladies I've asked, they said yes. And I said, okay, if every man pairs with every woman, there will be, I think it was 1 or 2 million women that would not have anybody.
Exactly.
So that means they either
100%.
have to share or wait for you to die.
100%.
Right?
Yep.
You know, so the thing is that
it's simple. If it was 1 million men and 2 million women, that's 2 to 1, right? That's 2 to 1. If every man had a woman, right? So there's 1 million left out there who are lonely, and they're not going to be. So they're going to share a dude.
Eventually willingly do it, right? And so, and I think a lot of times having the conversation, even bringing it back to the top, when we say being emotionally and not depositing anything in the logic. Now we can say that there is a difference in process of thinking between men and women, right? 100%. And I think a lot of times the problem in relationships is you guys are asking us to be more in tune with our feelings, and we're asking you to use a little more logic, right? There's usually pull.
Sure. I agree with that statement.
Too many times, I think, when you guys ask us to be a part of and engage in the feelings and things like that, sometimes we understand in life there's times where feelings can't matter. Our reality is feelings can't matter in a lot of times. And so when you say, and so matter of fact, I was just talking to a family member of mine who was he's the boss at his company. And he said, man, a lot of these younger people believe that everything they feel or how it should do because that's how they've been raised. And my wife is a counselor, and I told her, and she hates this because it's her profession. I said the world was a lot better before we started encountering everybody's feelings. The hell with your feelings. Your
What's
feelings
happening?
don't
What's
matter.
happening?
And they're
Your
not-
feelings
and
don't
and
matter.
they're not
What's
solution
But you know
oriented.
why? And here's the thing. I'm gonna tell you why your feelings don't matter. Because every resume that you've ever put out, there's never been a space to tell me your mom was a crackhead, your daddy was a pimp, your grandma sold drugs. It's only about are you qualified and are you available? Because we don't care about your feelings. And when you come on this job, the thing is that, well, you should feel. I don't.
Oh, right.
When I walk into a building, I don't care that you don't like your job.
Right.
Do your
Do
job
your
because
job.
I don't care about your
Well,
feelings.
now I
You
can
know?
agree with that with you in that from that standpoint.
Are you in the field that's
I-
just dealing with feelings?
I don't like feelings. Matter of fact, let me just be
Wait,
very clear.
whoa, that's a
Wait, hold
statement.
on.
A woman said I don't like
No,
feelings.
wait.
I don't.
Listen,
That's not surprising coming from that. Let's be real. That does not
Coming
shock
from
me at all.
I'm
Right?
like, listen. I'm like, let's just talk about the facts and move on. I don't like, and I'm not gonna say where I work. I don't like when my team members come to me and share with me how they like. I hear now it's like this global thing of I need a mental health day. What is that?
Oh wow.
What
Yeah, they have- yes.
like
yes,
can you
they have-
explain to me how your job description says this and you're asked to do with your job descriptions for the pay that you agree to do this thing, and all of a sudden this is making you say I need to take off work for mental health? What does that mean? What exactly does that mean to you? So I'm not the right person to ask about feelings because I typically lean more toward logic. And oftentimes when I do, people tell me I act more like a man than a woman.
I was just going to ask you this question.
I
So
was
I was
gonna
just going to ask that question.
Same
Do
thing.
you feel, Amy? Because now, we need a couch out here for Amy on here.
I do need a couch
Okay.
therapist. Please, like inbox.
Here
and-
the- no.
I have a heart.
Amy, do you feel, as we're having a conversation about logic and emotion,
Mhm.
do you feel a detachment sometimes when it comes to your ability to process feelings over emotion, and just opposed to maybe some other women friends that you have?
Wait, before you answer, can I add to
Sure.
that?
Yeah, 100%.
Because I want to know, kind of very much what he said. How many women friends do you have or have you lost because you use logic, particularly when you were holding them accountable?
A lot. So
I thought so.
We said she didn't have no friends.
so here's the thing. So historically, my vocation, I was a trauma nurse, right? As a trauma nurse, you have to literally sever emotions from reality. Because if not, every time the ambulance show up, every time somebody dies, which happens every day, multiple times on your shift, you cannot survive because you're constantly crying, you're constantly depressed, you're constantly weighed down, etc. So there is a severance of the two, right? And so I don't currently practice as a trauma nurse, but I think there is some lingering over where my brain goes, there's black and there's white. This is fact. I understand how you feel. However, this is the reality over here, right? I can't play into how you're feeling because your feelings are not factual. Your feelings are how you feel, right?
And those are
The
yours.
reality is this over here. So you can talk to me about what A, B, C, D, E, F, G is in the land of reality. We can get to your feelings later. And so part of it is, when I'm at work, unfortunately, and I have all my teams coming in, they're having mental health days and all of that. My brain goes, okay, hold on. You agreed to work here. You applied to work here. You signed up for this job description. You agreed to this pay, etc. Where does mental health come in as it relates to that?
And here on
And it's hard
Toxic
for me
is the
to
New
see-
Masculinity,
You just answered
understand that.
You
Understand.
answered a lot of questions about you, man. I mean, as a compliment, because I'm about to ask you something. I have to.
Oh,
I
I'm
have
scared.
to.
I'm scared.
I have, no. I'm
Go for
serious.
I'm just saying, it
So-
seems like the toxicity is not from the
Yeah.
men.
Yeah.
Okay, so
And you
Wait,
don't-
when did
you
I
don't have to
become
ask-
interviewed?
Right, because I'm fascinated by this. I gotta ask you this,
because
right?
you've been interviewed
Yeah.
because we said that y'all put stock in your emotions, not your logic.
I
You
don't
like, look,
put stock into my
look,
emotions.
you're
I put
so
stock
you
into my
emotionally
logic.
bankrupt.
I'm not gonna say I'm emotionally bankrupt. I'm gonna say my emotions come secondary to
But
my
it's at a
logic.
deficit.
Well, I can say my emotions may be a little depleted, but they come secondary to logic. And it took me a
Where did you get
long
that
time.
No, wait, I gotta ask
Okay.
this question. I gotta ask this question. And you don't have to answer because
Okay.
it's like personal.
Okay.
But because I know, right, when you go out, you always, when you ask, God meets you, says something to you, and says, he tries to find out if you're single.
Sure.
And you say, dude, they ask the question, why are you single? And all that kind of stuff, right? So, is it, I don't want to say, do you find yourself in a frequent position where you meet a guy, right? Y'all just meet each other, right? And let's just say, for an example, um, he asked you, hey, let's go out to do X, Y, Z. You like, okay, cool, we go out. We're gonna go out, right? And then he says, well, I can't make it or what have you, right? And as you guys have a conversation, you don't get emotional about it. You accept it for it being it is what it is. After a series of events like that, wherever the case may be, do you find him expecting you to be disappointed? And when you're not, a conflicts arise because you're not disappointed, you're not being emotional, or you don't act quote unquote as most women do. You often find yourself in that situation.
Very rarely, I think.
Really?
Well, here's why. Because um, I have such a short fuse. So when you said he does it multiple times, and after a series, you don't have multiple times in the series with me to do it.
Okay, you know,
Typically,
I asked
after
the
the
question-
second one, we're good.
I asked the question the wrong way because I was trying to clean it up. So
You
let
asked
me,
the question
yeah.
the wrong or the long way, boss.
The wrong way.
No, because I was trying to clean it up. So I said, but you don't generally, like I find men in dating experience where they have been around emotional reactions so many times that it's almost expected,
Sure.
right? And we'll say we don't like it. I agree with that, right? But when we come across somebody, or if we come across about somebody like you, the thing we say we don't like, right? You don't exhibit that, like the emotion. And when we see that, that creates another problem. It's
Sure.
like, why aren't you acting that way?
100%.
Yeah, why aren't you being that way?
So,
Why-
but I mean, mainly though. But where did you think you got that from?
I
Outside of work.
Sure. So I've been through a lot in life,
Mhm.
and I've just come to. It goes back to what we said in the beginning. For me, in life, I view life through the lens of it is what it is. I understand that I cannot control people. Who I can control is Amy, right? You get to decide how you want to talk to me, how you want to treat me, how you want to respond to me. I also get to decide whether or not I tolerate it, whether or not X, Y, Z. And so, because of that, I have a different level of strength. Also, I'm fully aware that there are over 7.9 billion people on this planet. So in my mind, why in the world am I putting all this energy and getting hung up in you and what you're doing when there is a vast amount of people in the world that I can communicate with, right? So it's just that because of things that I've gone through in my life, I've learned that, one human being don't dictate anything in my life. And the mere fact that I will allow somebody to control me and my actions in my day and how I feel based on that, it's a problem for me. And so it becomes now a selfish thing where I don't allow you to control me because of this, that, and the other. So just to give you another thing, and a kind of a shameless plug. So I've been writing a book for the last couple of years, and it deals with silence. It deals with the difference between
silence.
yeah. It deals with the difference between, when God seems silent in our lives, he seems to be a shoulder shrug, right? It's like, God ain't talking to me in this season, right? But when human beings are silent with you, you seem to, some people have these, effects, whether they go through depression or devastating things in their life, etc. And so my brain is scrambled saying, why is it that we put that much emphasis into a created being when they stop talking to you versus the person who created you? You don't seem to care. And so through my studies dealing with writing that book, I've come to a different level of strength within myself where it's like, you're a created being. And because you are a created being, You don't get that level of control over me. And if you choose to do A, B, C, D, F, G, that was your decision. You have free will. You get to do that. I have free will and I get to decide how I move from there. And how I move is I choose not to give you the energy, the brain power, the emotion that's going to drain my day because of your decisions.
So so you being someone who is a more logical based thinker, how does that affect your dealing with men? Because men are generally logical based. How does that affect? Because
That's a great
There's
question.
a conflict, and it's
I
not
can-
on
it is
you.
a conflict.
That's what I thought. Yeah,
But it is. So like I've been told that I act like more like a guy than a female, which is fine, right? So I have to
what sports did you play?
basketball and I ran track. I ran track at Jackson State.
You walk,
So
you walk like a hooper.
did you say I walk like a dude?
A hooper.
No,
Oh, okay.
Like a hooper.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Because
I figured that.
effectively, that's what I was getting to when I said I didn't put it the right way.
Mhm.
But I would feel that, and I'm saying it sounds like a detriment, it's a compliment to you because you're like that. I would feel that most men, when men get involved with you to some level,
Yeah.
right, even if like initially, right, they would find that I don't know if challenging is the right word, but
They
bottom
usually
line, I
find it
know I
challenging.
knew you'd be asked, will you act more like a dude? And sometimes that could be problematic, I could think, because a lot of us are not accustomed to
Right.
seeing that.
Right.
A lot of us is not accustomed to you like, okay, go ahead and do your thing. Meaning, I mean like, okay, you want to go hang out with the fellas, go right ahead. I'm
Go.
going to hang out with the
I'm not gonna
girls,
call you.
and I'm not going exactly.
I'm not gonna call you.
Because how many times have you been on the other end of that?
Mhm.
Hey, I'm going out with the fellas, your phone blowing up.
All
Right? It's almost common, right?
Mhm.
So when you don't get it, you're like, okay, what's going on? Like, what's wrong with her? And it's not really you. It's not really you, right?
Mhm.
It's I've become accustomed to insecurity.
Right.
That when I see security, now I make the security I wanted a problem
Yeah.
for you when it's really not your
Yeah.
problem.
My thing is, I know who I am. I know what I bring to the table. I know who I am. I know how I love a husband. I know the level of support and all the things. If you want to do something else, do something else.
So
Live your best life. I am not the gatekeeper to where you feel you may find happiness.
Totally agree
So
with you on that.
for me, I'm like, oh, okay, we'll go. Like,
so in your conversations, just dealing with other ladies, because you would get more of an insight than we would. Why do you think that the deposit into the emotional side is so much, and not even somewhat of a balance or alignment to create a better life? Why do you think that for a lot of women, it's emotions first, then logic second?
I think it's like that for a lot of women because a lot of women sometimes may come from environments that breed insecurity, and then some women come from environments where they may feel like you're my only option, like, or I have you and there may not be someone else, right? Well, that also is bred in insecurity, right? So if I look at it from the flip for me, right, I'm not concerned because I go to Target and somebody's trying to holler. I go to you get what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Not only that, let's suppose nobody hollers at me. I love Amy. I
Mm.
love myself. I love my life. I have a great family. I have a great support system. I have great friends. I'm not concerned with anything else. Okay, some people want to be married and so they gravitate towards a person who in their life. Well, okay, I was married for 14.5 years. Been there, done that, check it off. Right? Got the t-shirt. So I think that a lot of times to answer your question, sometimes it's bred out of insecurities. And sometimes it may be insecurities that they may or may not know about that exist or even may want to admit. And then sometimes for women, as we get older, our quote unquote clock starts ticking, right? And so we try to hold on to whoever's in our life because it's like, ugh, I'm getting older. I need to be married. All my friends are married. Oh, I want to have kids. I'm young enough to have kids, but I want to have kids. And if he leaves, and that you have all of that is undergirding how they're feeling and their reactions.
Okay. Well, listen. A lot of times we have these conversations, and we're usually just trying to get to understanding, and not so much of a bashing situation. And I'm glad Amy was able to give us, she can't speak for everybody, but she also gives us a little bit of insight that sometimes we don't get a chance to as guys to hear those conversations. there's a lot of times ladies share with us that we have friends and we get inside information. Then there's also a different conversation that
100%.
ladies have amongst themselves. And so I think what has to happen is that you got to understand when you're dealing with a guy, how we see life. We don't get. I saw this quote that said, "Once you become a man, there's never a day off." And we look at that from the day to the day I die. I can't take a day off, right? Nobody is coming for me. Nobody is coming to save me. Nobody is really coming to give me anything. There's no programs for me. If I get homeless, I'm homeless. If I have a baby and can't pay for it, I go to jail. If you have a baby can't pay for it, there's a government check, right? So the thing is that we are operating in that sense. And I just think that as far as relationships go, men do desire the feminine aspect of a woman.
Mhm.
But ladies, we also need you sometimes to take the emotions and have them controlled and don't allow them to control you, which is why I tell people all the time, I will never tell you that I'm happily married because I'm not going to put emotion as a description in front of my marriage. I'm intentionally married. That means no matter how I feel,
That's good.
I have intentions on what I'm doing. So I'm not going to be led by emotions. So I'm not going to describe something as being led by emotions. So with that being said, if we're going to come together, understand both sides. Fellas have to understand, like, yo, there might be some insecurities, there might be something, and we should be able to have those conversations and
Mhm.
say, hey, listen, I think your feelings are a front street, right? And your comfort is not paramount to all things that we do.
Right.
And your feelings are not the first thing that we should always consider. And your happiness is not the thing that should be dictator over everything else.
Right.
Also, we also have to learn, like, you know what, give him space to do that, right? And if you recognize the man giving you space, also give him what he's looking for, as far as saying, let me just think this through for a second, right? So yeah,
Mhm.
so listen, I think great conversation. I hope you guys were able to glean something from this and then have an understanding, have a conversation, and let us know on our social media and everything else. Are you bankrupt in one category or the other? Are you invest so much into your emotions that you have nothing left in your bank account for logic? And so, we'll maybe have a part two of this conversation one day. Shout out to Amy for writing her book. So we'll have to make sure
So
we get that book out there.
everybody,
Yeah.
everybody got to go get it when it comes out.
All right. That's what's up. Listen, again, I got my man Bossy on the right. Special guest Amy hanging out with us in front of the camera today. Y'all know here on Toxic, if I can get the words out, Toxic is the New Masculinity. Just a good conversation amongst friends. All right. So make sure you guys tune in. Make sure to share, like, and comment. Everything, all these things, make sure to let everybody know, man, you guys check the show out each and every week. So we'll see you guys on the next edition of Toxic is the New Masculinity.